Good morning, Western Washington, and happy Wednesday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and today we're going to take a look at the forecast for our cold front and system moving in today, and we'll take a look at the next couple of days briefly as well. So starting here with the radar, you can see a little band of precipitation moved through the area this morning. Didn't create much rainfall with that, but you can see the main area of rain with our cold front and system moving in today is offshore, and that rain will be moving in throughout the day. So we'll take a look at that here in the video. So let's start with the overall pattern. You can see the troughing associated with this system is moving through the area today as that ridge is now well off to the east over Montana. And you can see that system moves through today. We get a little bit of a break on early Thursday morning, then that next system moves into Haida Gwaii and central British Columbia there, and will clip Western Washington on Thursday into Friday there. And then you can see we have a little bit of an upper level trough that moves by on Saturday, but that shouldn't produce much outside of just a little bit of drizzle across the area. And then as we go into Sunday and next Monday there, you can see some ridging is showing up here in the model, and that could be bringing some nice and sunny conditions, not nearly as warm as yesterday, of course, but it will be likely a nice start to next week before we could have some more systems to start October. So let's take a look again here at the European model at the precipitation forecast. You can see this system moves through today with a convergence zone and showers continuing into early tomorrow morning. And then you can see that nice strong low moves into central British Columbia there tomorrow afternoon and evening, bringing a lot of rain to Vancouver Island, and then that rain does start to spill into Western Washington late tomorrow night, and then that continues all the way through Friday, becoming just some little showers there by late Friday night, and then we dry out and will remain dry except for some drizzle there on Saturday across the area that could bring some light showers, and it will be mostly cloudy. And then that ridge starts to build by Sunday, and we do stay mostly dry through Monday there. So now let's take a look at the high-resolution rapid refresh model and what it thinks the radar will look like today with that rain moving in. You can see by the time we get to 9 a.m. that rain has started from Everett northward, and that continues throughout the day. They're getting moderate at times, and you can see that by the time we get to about 11, that rain is moving into Olympia. By noon, it started across the entire metro area, and the HRRR model here has a band of heavier rain associated with the cold front. You can kind of see it there up across Whatcom County and then down here near Olympia and Tacoma. This is about 2 o'clock, and it shows that front moving through around 3 o'clock, which if this situation here is correct, that could bring some brief, pretty heavy rainfall and gusty winds as that moves off into the Cascades there. And you can see by the time we get to 4 to 5 o'clock tonight, that convergence zone starts to form there across Everett, and then the HRRR doesn't have nearly as much of a convergence zone as some of the other models, and we'll take a look at that in a minute there. And you can see by the time we get to early Thursday morning, that rain has ended with this system across the area. And just a brief reminder here, you can see that the high-resolution rapid refresh there does have some lightning potential associated with some of that strong wind, so be careful about that. This is not too likely, but it is possible, especially across some of the foothills and the Cascades there this evening. So do watch out for that and keep it in the back of your mind that we could have a isolated lightning strike or two with this system. Now let's take a look at the NAM model. This is another high-resolution model that's also showing what the radar could look like. You can see it does agree that Everett northward gets rain starting by about 9 a.m., and then that rain moves into the rest of the metro area by 11 to noon. And you can see as we go through the afternoon, it does have a little bit of that heavier band with the cold front, but not nearly as strong as the last model we looked at. And you can see that heaviest rain does move through between like 1 to 2 there on the NAM. And then you can see as we go into the evening, that convergence zone really picks up from Seattle to Everett and areas a little bit northward, and continues all the way through to about midnight. And it actually keeps going all the way to the end of this forecast as it's running right now to about 2 a.m. there as it's starting to weaken there over Everett. So we could have a somewhat long-lasting convergence zone that will increase precipitation totals between Seattle and Everett and into the foothills and the Cascades there. So now let's take a look here. Peak wind gust. This is the NAM model. This is likely overdoing it a bit. Most areas like Everett and north of Seattle, they're probably not going to hit 30 to 40 miles an hour. I mean, it is possible, but you can see the main thing we're looking at is that Areas like Whidbey Island and Bellingham and Ferndale and Blaine could be hitting 30 to 40 miles an hour with this system moving through. Most of the rest of the area will gust 20 to 30 miles an hour with that cold front moving through, maybe 35 miles an hour, and then the coast, of course, a little bit windier out there as usual, 35 to 40 miles an hour possible on this model. But let's compare that to the HRRR. You can see how it pulls down those wind speeds for Bellingham and the Hood Canal and areas north of Seattle there. Generally, this is more likely, with that strongest wind being on Whidbey Island down the strait there. You can see gusts of 30 to 40 miles an hour, though the HRRR does show some really strong winds here over parts of the southern Cascades. That's possible, so be aware if you're in the backcountry that there could be some stronger winds moving through this evening. And then you can see for the rest of the area, generally 25 to 35 miles an hour, maybe a little bit stronger on the coast with that cold front moving through. So this may bring down some little tree branches and stuff, especially with all the leaves being on the trees. I'm sure there'll be a lot more leaves flying around, but don't expect anything too major in terms of wind damage, except maybe on parts of Whidbey Island with those stronger winds. Now let's take a look at precipitation totals. Here you can see as we go through the day today, that rain continues all day. Strongest amounts of rain there from Everett northward and on the coast. And as we go to about this evening, you can see that convergence zone signature there, increasing the totals around Everett. And we stop this at midnight tonight. Actually, let's let it keep going a little bit more with that convergence zone. So this is about 4 a.m. Thursday, and you can see the totals across most of the area are a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch for most of the metro, and really the entire I-5 corridor. They're getting about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch, except that convergence zone band around Everett, and maybe it could be a little bit further south towards Seattle. There, that area gets up to 3/4 of an inch, and then up to an inch in the Cascades and the Olympics, and a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch along the coast. So this is a pretty nice round of rainfall, especially since it's been on the drier side for the last couple of weeks or so. And taking a look at high temperatures, you can see huge cool down from yesterday. Most areas from Seattle south hit 80 plus yesterday, and today we're not even going to reach the mid 60s there. Highs really top out at we're not going to reach the upper 60s, sorry. Highs top out about 65 to 66 for most of the metro area, and north of Seattle only in the low 60s, and the same south of Seattle and then on the coast also in the low 60s. We warm up a bit on Thursday, north of Seattle in the low to mid 60s, and south of Seattle in the upper 60s to low 70s, and mid 60s on the coast. And then we cool down a bit for some of the area on Friday, but generally mid 60s, maybe some upper 60s from Tacoma southward on Friday. And then Saturday, with some more clouds and stuff moving by, we will cool down to the low 60s from Seattle north and mid 60s from Seattle southward. And similar thing there on Sunday, some cooler conditions ahead. And then just looking at this again, we mentioned this yesterday here, but you can see from 5 p.m. Tuesday to 5 p.m. Wednesday, the temperature drop will be huge. For most of the lowlands here, it is a 15 to 20 degree temperature difference from Tuesday to Wednesday, and for some of the Cascades and from areas from Olympia southward, that temperature difference is 20 to 30 degrees, so it'll be a pretty noticeable cool down, especially by this evening. So that is just showing kind of we're going from summer to fall in one day with this big ridge yesterday and this system today, so that'll be kind of interesting. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and share these videos. Subscribing is the best way to stay informed as storm season is soon upon us, and to help Western Washington weather grow. So stay tuned, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.